here's the week 4 video. So as we've been working through the assignments so far, you've noticed that things have been moving from a more general idea of writing to a more specific, I can't say that word, specific way of writing for an assignment. And that's what you're doing this week, is you're going to be working on your narrative assignment. Now, I think in most cases when it comes to this first of the larger assignments, it can be a bit terrifying, because you're like, oh man, why all of a sudden we were just kind of sharing our thoughts and getting things started, but now it's real, and there's this shift that happens between what you've done before and what you're going to do, where it can all of a sudden go into some of these old thoughts of, well, this is really scary. In truth, you've been working throughout this semester so far in this same environment, so this assignment is just an expansion of what you've already been doing. So especially as you get the last discussion back, which is your opening paragraph, you're going to have more information there from which you can build on to write the rest of this narrative. So I say all that to just help you understand that it need not be near as scary as you think it might be. So, but let's walk through what's going to happen this week, so that hopefully you can feel a little less scared about everything. So, or at least that you'll be ready to know what to do in this environment. Some of you may not be scared at all, and that's great. For most of us, writing in any context is just a little bit difficult. So if you go here and you come to week 4, which is where we are in this week, you'll see that there's not quite as much on the list this week, because the main thing that you're going to be doing is writing your rough draft of your narrative assignment. And so the checklist for this week is you're going to complete that by Friday night, and you're going to submit that to Blackboard. I'm going to show you where to do that here in just a second. But you'll see on here that you need to watch this video. I want to get you to read an article that I think will be really helpful, not just because of its suggestions for writing, but because it is a narrative of a type. So it gives you some models that you can follow, and then you're going to submit your rough draft by Friday. So a quick note on the schedule. I'm going to pull up the updated syllabus here that you can find here to show you. Let's go here. That what you're doing is you're turning in your rough draft this Friday, and then it will go into peer review. And I'm going to post the peer review information on the 11th, or probably that weekend on the 9th, so that you have a few days to review. Each of you will review 2 different student papers and to give feedback. And so if you think about it, what's really great about this is that by the time you guys get to the finished product, you're going to have feedback from me, which I'm going to be reviewing your rough draft too, in addition to 2 other students. And so I take it seriously when I talk about things like writing communities and putting this information out there for people to review, because the more feedback you can get, the better it is, because you'll have a chance to put your ideas under the microscope. So often as we write, we can't understand, we have these biases and these things that we're connected to, that we just don't understand how well they're communicating. But hearing from us as your instructor and as your fellow students how well it's communicating or how well it's not communicating will let you know where you need to improve, where things are working well. Plus, there is the connected benefit of you become a better writer the more you review other people's work. Some of the best moves that I've ever made as a writer came from me seeing someone else make a move and go, oh man, I can do that? That actually sounds really cool. So think about that as you're reviewing this work, that it's a benefit for the reader, it's a benefit for the writer, it's a benefit for everybody. So that's what's going to happen the following week. So I say all that to give you an idea of where we're going, but also so you can understand that what you're turning in this week is not designed to be the end-all, be-all of your narrative assignment. Rather, this is a chance to get the work out there. What you'll discover is that the best writing, and what this article that you're going to read talks about, is not this all of a sudden I have this moment of inspiration and then create a beautiful work. It's much more of a process of going over and over and over again, and even fighting some of those voices in our head that tell us we're not smart enough or that we can't do this. And sometimes the best way to do that is just get it out there and let other people look at it. And that's what this process is going to be. So that will all be taking place after you turn in the draft on Friday. So let's go to the article that I'm going to have you read, which is right here. It's The Inspired Writer. And then it's from Writing Spaces, which I think is just a really helpful thing that you can use. But what I love about this article is not just it's. I'm going to zoom in just a hair so we can see it. It's not just what it has suggestions for you as a writer. Is that Sarah Allen here is actually explaining her process as a writer and how she's grown as a writer, and it's very similar to the type of work that you're doing in the narrative assignment. So take a look at this, and I want you to read a little bit like a writer here, like we talked about like Neil Gaiman talked about in the video of he's starting to read like a critic. Start to notice the moves that she's making and the stories that she's telling, both as she's a teacher and in her relationship to her students, but also as she has grown as a writer herself. And I will tell you that any writer that I've met, writers that are far more successful and better at it than me, will all say something similar of writing is not about this inspired moment. It's about endurance. Just keep going. You have good ideas. Keep putting them out there. Keep trying. Keep going. And I hope that takes some of the edge away from the writing process. But even if it doesn't, that's what a due date is really good at doing, is you have to turn it in. And in this case, it's a pretty low stakes assignment. So I'm going to show you that here. You've got the narrative assignment sheet, which you've seen before. This is just an explanation of the assignment you're working on. But you can see that all of the things we've been talking about throughout the semester. But when you go to the narrative rough draft, I want to show you that it is worth 10 points. What does that mean? That means that it's not a very high stakes assignment, not yet, because it is a rough draft. So what happens if you go and make a mess on this thing? Well, in most cases, I'm going to look to it and try to find the ideas in there that are good and give you suggestions of how to write back. And in order to get those 10 points, what I'm looking for you to do is for not have a fully polished essay, but I want you to have just some specific ideas and that you are doing what the assignment calls you to do. That's what I'm looking for at this stage. And then you get your feedback from your peers, you get your feedback from me, and then together we kind of collectively work with you to get your essay done. So view this as a starting point. It is not an ending point. You do not have to have everything together. It does not need to be perfect. That said, you need to do the best you can on this particular essay. The more work you put in now, the easier the revision process is going to be. So let's consider two possible options. In the first option, you complete the draft, you give it a good look over for edit, you try to change everything up as much as you need to, you check your grammar and everything else, and you turn it in for peer review. You're more likely going to get some feedback that says, hey, there's some ideas that need to work here, or maybe rearrange here, and I think you're on the right track, or that you're well on your way. Even if you've got to make some substantive changes, you're still in good shape because you've got it there on the paper. Versus if you turn in a paragraph, and you're like, well, I don't really have much to say, and you're maybe hoping for the person to give you some more information. Well, you've got a lot more work to do in the revision process because you're still drafting that work. So take this week and put as much time as you can into completing this draft so that you can move forward with the assignment and not get stuck in this space of, oh man, I'm not sure what to write. How do I write this? So that's it for this week. Focus on your draft, and I am around for any questions or concerns that you have. Starting next week, you'll get the feedback from me, you'll get the feedback from your fellow students, and we will keep moving through this process. I specifically want to invite you to email me if you're having difficulties writing, if you're just thinking like, man, I can't get this idea out of my head and onto the paper. Email me now, essentially, or as soon as you can, because I want to give you help throughout the week before the assignment's due. So if you're having a problem on Tuesday, don't wait till Friday to let me know that you have a problem or just to turn in your paper and hope for the best. Email me Tuesday, because that gives me several days, and I will probably be back with you Tuesday, Wednesday at the latest, to tell you, okay, here are the different things you can do to improve, or here are the different things to consider. So take all that into account. I hope that I hope this is helping you with the process of making it a little less scary. Even if it's not, that's okay, because you've still got to turn it in, and you might learn that that process just takes place after you've turned it in, and that's okay. Remember, this is a low stakes assignment. We're trying to get this process going so that you can succeed once you leave this class, because as I've mentioned throughout the semester, this writing process, this establishing yourself in the world, is something you're going to be doing from here throughout your college career, and perhaps even in your work career too. So that's all for now, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Take care.